Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Winging It F1 podcast, because this is our 2022 F1 season preview. Yes, unless you've been living under a rock, it's race week, which people seem to love and hate as a concept. But here we go. We're back for race week. We're back for 2022. We're back with Formula One, and we're all incredibly excited for the season. And we're going to run through what we expect to happen in Bahrain and probably what won't happen in Bahrain. I'm Freddie Coates. I'm going to host it today, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Nigel Chew. But in place of Adam Dickinson, who's out living his best life in spring break in America, we have Ellie Jane. Ellie, welcome to the Wing It F1 podcast. Welcome back, friend of the podcast. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How's everybody else?
Yeah, all good, yeah.
Nigel's good too.
Yeah, it's been a good 15 months since he's last on. So yeah.
Yeah, well, gotta call in a favour when you can. So yeah, we're gonna go through what we think will happen, and we're gonna start first though by looking back at Barcelona, looking back at Bahrain and Barcelona tests, and seeing what we can kind of draw from it, because so much happened there. Everyone seemed to have completely different stories. We've got Kevin Magnussen's back in F1. Haas have gone from zero to hero F1 team out of just in terms of personality in the grid. And it's just been a bit of a wild test. Nigel, what did you make of the Bahrain test?
It was pretty, well, not crazy. It's just, I think there's so many storylines, and I think the main takeaway from it is the field is so competitive this year. And with new regulations, normally the gaps open up, but instead it looks like it's got a lot closer. The top three teams you can put them in any kind of order, and the next 4 or 5 teams you can do exactly the same. And even at the back, we're not completely sure who's got the slowest car this year. So it just looks like we could have such an exciting season, just like last year. Hopefully it's a bit less controversial, but there's so much to look forward to, and I just cannot wait for this weekend.
Yeah, Ellie, what was your main takeaway?
Confusion. I know that sounds weird, but it's like we don't actually know. It feels like this is, I know testing always means nothing, but this is the first time I feel like I have no idea where anyone actually is. Like, Mercedes came with this crazy car that had no side pods, and then we were like, okay, what does that mean? And it was just weird. And then obviously, good one was Kevin Magnussen back, no more other guy, which is great. So Haas are now a really likable team, and that's nice. That was a nice thing to take out of testing.
Oh, definitely. We've got to talk about Mercedes taking a knife to the entire concept of Formula One cars from the 1970s onwards, and basically coming with an incredibly different aero package. I think, yeah, we should definitely touch on that, because it looked like that, in a way, held them back, I would say, Nigel, because they had to get on top of a whole new concept of car, and now they seem to be the team who haven't got on top of setups as well as everyone else. They seem to be the team with the most violent porpoising. What do you make of that?
I would say so as well, and I think we're so used to being fooled by Mercedes always in testing. Even if they are slow, you always think they're going to come back. But at some point, that won't work. And that could be this year, because if they were sandbagging, the car wouldn't be oversteering, understeering, and just looking like a right handful for both Hamilton and Russell. So I don't think they are sandbagging. I think there is genuine problems. It's just a matter of, can they fix it for this weekend's race, or will it take till Australia in round 3? Will it take till Spain? Will it even take to the second half of the season? So I think it's just how quickly can they fix it, because I think there's lots of potential in the car, and they will still be right up there. But if your car is handling like that, then you're going to have real problems, because surely it'll be hurting the tyres. Not having the right balance doesn't give the driver confidence. So there's an influx of problems they've got. It's just how quickly can they fix it?
Ellie, do you think they can get on top of it, or do you think there's an element that they don't need to?
I think they're probably going to bring the side pods back. They had a different car, obviously, in Barcelona. I imagine that probably it seemed faster. It still seemed pretty quick. I don't know. I'm not an engineering expert, They are, so I'm going to leave them to it. I think the good thing is they've got two solid drivers on my side who, as much as they both say, we're not going to win, they probably are going to win a few races, even if they're that bad. I think it'd be interesting. I think everything, as I said, no one really knows anything right now. I think that's the honest truth. I think we will see in qualifying, and if it is what everyone's saying, which is they just come out and they have a 1-2, I'm going to be a bit disappointed.
Well, with George Russell finally gets his chance in the Mercedes, as Mercedes seems to have their worst test in 10 years. Even though they've had a few testing shockers, 2021, 2017 ring a bell. But do you think Russell will be able to take it to Hamilton straight away? Ellie, do you think it's going to take him a bit of time to get to that? Or do you think he's going to be fighting early?
I think he's been there. I definitely think he's going to be there. If he's got the right car, I definitely see him being able to battle with Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, and I'm putting them up there because I think they are going to be the people who are going to be fighting for wins this year. I think it's still going to be difficult. It's difficult for anyone to take it to Hamilton. He's got so much experience. He's got all the records. There's a reason for that. I think it's going to be difficult, but I think he took it and blew it out of the water with Bottas. So I'm expecting him to definitely be there, getting it a bit quicker with Hamilton. So I think he could be there.
Yeah, I think on Saturdays, Russell's going to be a real threat because even Bottas out-qualified Hamilton 4 or 5 times last year. So I think Russell can do the same, if not more. It's just whether on Sundays, Hamilton, with his amazing tyre management skills, can Russell match that? I'm not quite sure. So he'll be fascinating to say if Russell out-qualifies Hamilton and he's ahead in the race, but was a bit slower in the race. What are they going to do then? So I think that's the fascinating thing for them. I think we're going to find out if he is a future champion in the first 4 or 5 races, I think, because all of the great drivers, they come to a new team straight away and they're right on it. They don't need time to get used to the car or the environment. They just straight away perform. So I think the first 4 or 5 races, we're going to see how good Russell is.
That's bold. You're buying on the pressure to George already.
Well, if you just got to look at history, don't you? Hamilton, Alonso, they're all, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. Oh no, you're exactly right. I think there's a lot of confidence for George going around, and Mercedes obviously think he's good enough to put in that seat and to give him the opportunity to fight. I mean, what is it? The little stage thing from Drive to Survive that's been going around. That's just like, good news, you're in the Mercedes. Bad news, you're against Lewis. It's just like, oh, for goodness sake. I mean, they're both great drivers.
How do you think it's going to go, Freddie?
Oh, I don't know. I was trying to be on the fence. I don't know, because we've seen so many people be put to bed by Lewis that it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, it's just people we've seen Lewis walk over aren't people who won GP3, F2, all on the bounce, and then had the best qualifying record and nearly won in their first go in a Merc anyway. So I think this is going to be a harder fight for Lewis than I think he expects, in my opinion. I really want it to be really close because otherwise it will be disappointing because we've all bigged up George. And I think that would be a big surprise. And using that as a segue, we're moving on to who will be the biggest surprise of 2022. That can be a team, it can be a driver. And okay, well, I guess it's second biggest surprise because Kevin Magnussen coming back would be the biggest surprise, and that's already happened. But Ellie, I'm putting you on the spot a bit here, but who's going to be your biggest surprise of 2022?
Okay, I'm thinking, and I'm going to go. This big surprise. I'm going to go Mick Schumacher.
Ooh.
Right, hear me out. That because you've already said Kevin Magnussen, so I'm going to say maybe Haas as a whole because that Haas does look fast. I think Ferrari seem to have brought a pretty fast engine, a pretty good engine, which I'm very excited by. I think Haas seems to have done a good job. They haven't built 2 different cars, as somebody suggested in Drive to Survive. They haven't built 2 different cars. Both the drivers seem pretty fast. I think it's really exciting. So I'm going to say Mick because I think he's going to score some points this year. And I think his and Kevin Magnussen's battle in the team very interesting, because Kevin, let's not forget, has had a year out of F1. That can always change how people are when they come back. However, Kevin is, as we all know, a very, very good driver. But I think Mick could be interesting because in his second season, his track record is pretty darn good when he comes into his second year. So I think he's going to be the big surprise this year.
I think that's a really good point about his second season, actually. Anyway, sorry, Nigel.
That's all right. I was going to go Guan Yu Zhou, but I'm now going to go Yuki Tsunoda. I think Tsunoda's going to come back, and I think he could even threaten, say, getting into Red Bull next year. I think last year, it was what I think he obviously learned a lot, and that one mistake in the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, when he crashed in qualifying, from there just went downhill, and he only came back for the final race when he performed quite well. And I think that final race has given him the confidence, hopefully, that he can do it, he can match Gasly. And now he's learned all of the tracks, which is a massive thing in F1. It wouldn't surprise me if he's a lot closer to Gasly and he can even beat him. Bahrain as well started there. He went really well there last year. He was really, really impressive. So if you can do something similar this year and then not crash at the second race, then I think he can just get the ball rolling almost. And I think he can gain momentum and we'll see the best of him, hopefully.
I've been trying to come up with mine. I've been sort of going through every team in my head just as you were speaking there, because you took mine. I was going to say Yuki Tsunoda. But I think I'm going to go with the driver you decided not to go with and go for Guan Yu Zhou, Joe Guan Yu, whatever it is. And I think he's going to really hold a candle to Bottas pretty early on. I think he's a really capable driver, and I think capable suits F1 much better than people think. Like, you can be the barnstormer, exciting driver who wins everything, but you can also be a really safe pair of hands and work. And I think he's going to do that very well, which is the kind of driver Alfa Romeo need after having worked so well with Kimi being there. It was obviously why Giovinazzi didn't work well there, was because he was so erratic. So I think they've got a bit more of the erratic driver in Bottas because he can be up and down. I think they're going to have a good safe pair of hands who's going to do some very, very nice little race drives, in my opinion. Well, I hope so now. I think you get a few of those drivers at Sauber who've gone under the radar, like Marcus Ericsson, who used to do some very nice little drives there. But I think Guan Yu Zhou is going to surpass that a bit.
I think just because someone doesn't do outstanding in F2 or F3, it doesn't mean they won't. They're going to be awful when they get to F1. I mean, classic example is Schumacher, is it? Michael Schumacher. Yeah, when he joined F1, he didn't have the best junior career, but then he ended up being one of the greatest drivers ever. So, I'm not saying Joe is going to be that kind of level, but I don't think he'll do too badly.
Yeah, that's a definitely a title thumbnail kind of quote there, comparing Guan Yu Zhou to Michael Schumacher. But anyway, and now we're getting on to a few more of the kind of random predictions that just are ridiculous. So, Nigel, get your pen ready because we need to make a note of these. So We're going to go straight in with two different questions. We're going to go, how many different pole sitters will there be and how many different winners will there be? I haven't given this any thought. This is going to be completely off the top of my head and I'm going to forget everything. So because you wrote the question in the planning doc, Nigel, I'm going to come to you first. And number of different pole sitters and number of different winners. Don't have to name them because that's boring.
Different pole sitters. I'm going to go 6 pole sitters and 8 winners.
Ooh,
I think I said that last year as well, I think. But, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's 22, 23 races, isn't there, this year? So
yes.
Yeah.
And last year there were, how many winners were there last year? 6?
6, yeah.
And pole sitters last year there were fewer than that, wasn't there? 4.
Norris.
5, Norris, of course.
Yeah.
Norris, Bottas, Perez, not Perez, Verstappen,
Leclerc,
Hamilton, Leclerc. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bottas, yeah. So I'll go 6 pole sitters, 8 winners.
Okay, much closer season then than 2 drivers going in on equal points to the final race. Ellie, are you going to be even more optimistic than Nigel?
I'm right. Pole, I'm going 6 as well.
Oh, okay.
And then winners inside him, I'm going to go 9 or 10.
Ooh.
Oh wow! Half the
Imagine
grid,
10 winners.
half the field
That'd be
winning
mad.
a race.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like we've got Sebastian Vettel in there. Like I think he might maybe both McLaren drivers.
Yeah.
The top 3 in Ferrari, and say even Red Bull, all their drivers.
It's a good point. There's a lot of race winners there.
Mm.
I suppose it depends on where all the cars end up, but we'll get to that later in the episode. But yeah, see, that's gonna make me sound really disappointing because I'm gonna say 5 pole sitters and 6 winners, just because I don't know. I just, if you think about it, last year you had Hamilton and Verstappen won a lot of races, then Bottas, Perez, Ocon, and Ricciardo all won, and that just got it to 6. So I don't know.
Yeah, and plus last year was pretty crazy in itself. So if we get 2 years in a row of that, that'd be pretty bad. So, but yeah, it's F1, isn't it?
I'm very optimistic, but I'm thinking a lot of those drivers I put in there will only win 1 race. I do want to clarify that some of them will win on off chances.
Well, if they all win 2 races, then that's 20 races.
Wow.
What a championship that would be.
Yeah.
And speaking of the championship, this is probably going to be influenced by our previous answers. Where's the championship going to be decided at? Is it going to go to Abu Dhabi? Is it going to be decided in Austin? Who knows? None of us. Ellie, take a stab in the dark. That's based on fact, definitely.
Abu Dhabi.
Oh, Abu Dhabi. Nigel Chu.
I'm gonna go Brazil.
Brazil. Okay. I was gonna go Brazil as well. So
Can still go Brazil.
Yeah. We're slightly less optimistic then. Those 8 different winners are going to come early, Nigel, aren't they?
Hopefully.
There's nothing more to say on that. We don't know anything. This is a little one that I threw in there into the planning doc because I thought it was also an opportunity for us to say something outrageous. The first penalty of the season. It could happen in a few days' time.
One of us can go safe now and pick the one we want to pick because he's left F1.
Yes, we can't pick the former Haas driver. I'm going to pick both McLarens and say they're both going to start from the pit lane. I just came up with that on the spot. I don't know if that counts as a penalty. They're both going to have to change their gearboxes or whatever overnight and then change their entire car, and then they're going to start from the pit lane. Not gearboxes, brakes, I should say. Brakes, because their brakes are bad. That's what it is.
True.
They're going to have to change their brakes and start from the pit lane.
I'm going to go Lance Stroll for going over the white line or something outside when he pits or something. Yeah, Lance Stroll for that.
Max Verstappen for something.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know what.
Something.
Just something.
Fair enough.
Touching the rear wing.
Yeah, he might touch a car again. There we go. Yeah. Penalty.
You can afford it.
He can.
Championship bonus means you can touch whatever car he wants. But yeah, now we're going to get onto sort of the meat of this podcast, which is who we think is fastest, which teams we think are going to come out on top over the season based on testing. Obviously, they can develop as the year goes on, but we're going to go with what we now think the top 10 constructors order is. But to give us some time just to double check on all of that, we're going to go over to our esteemed absent co-host, Adam Dickinson, who's in sunny New Orleans in the United States of America. That was the wrong accent. And yeah, so
wrong side of the continent world.
Yeah, wrong side of the world. Anyway, over to you, Adam.
Yes, hello. Sorry I can't be with you today. I'm in New Orleans, very sunny New Orleans, so I'm not that sorry I can't be with you. But these are my Constructors' Championship predictions for the upcoming season, and it's a really difficult one to predict. I know we've said this for ages, but it is really difficult. And I'm going to start out in 10th place with Williams. I think, testing didn't quite go to plan for them. I think Alfa will be good for them. Not sure about the team, we'll have to see. Alfa Romeo, 9th. I think they'll be quite close to Williams, but yeah, they've had a bit less go wrong for them. 8th Haas, I think, has been really fantastic weeks. Probably one of the best weeks they've had in a while. They've got K-Mag back, and I think that's huge. So I'm going to go 8th. I can see them going 7th, really, but I don't quite have the spuds to predict that. So 7th is going to be Aston Martin, 6th place Alpine, 5th place AlphaTauri. All of them are pretty close. I think Aston are at the back just by view of having a not great driver combination, but the Alpine isn't looking fantastic either. So I can see both of those being pretty close. McLaren 4th. Yeah, I think they've got too much talent in the driver lineup. I think Ricciardo will have a bit of a bounce back year. And then into the top 3, Ferrari 3rd. I know they've had a great pre-season testing, but I trust Mercedes too much, so I'm going to put them 2nd and Red Bull 1st because they've looked really strong, and Verstappen and Perez look very settled in driver lineup. So those are my predictions. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So that's Adam's top 10. He's gone for very different choices to me, but that's part of it. That's part of the confusion that Ellie was talking about earlier. Interested in his confidence in Mercedes. That's fair enough. They do. That's not fair enough for now, I would say, but it's interesting. Who knows? Maybe come the end of the season. Shall we do it where we all say our 10th fastest team at the same time? So
yeah,
Nigel, who do you think currently is the slowest team in F1?
I think Williams is the slowest, and it will be the slowest.
Ellie, who do you think is the slowest team?
Williams.
You guys are never going to guess who I think is the slowest team.
Is it Williams?
It's Williams. I'm sorry to say, Williams. All 4 of us have put you as the slowest team in F1, and that's a shame because they were, they had a decent Barcelona. It was nice. The car looked like it had good pace and that it was very settled, and a very steady car. Not steady as in slow, steady as in aero steady. That's a thing. But yeah, they had a shocker of a test and in Bahrain, and really haven't had an opportunity to show the pace. It's not like they've been really obviously on long runs. It's not like they've been really gone for the glory runs either, but it doesn't point to them being anywhere higher than they were arguably over the past couple of seasons.
With that said, they still might score points at some point because the field is that close, and if there's an attritional race which might happen in the first race, or if the track suits them, then they still could get 10th or 9th somewhere. So yeah,
definitely. There's a lot to potentially happen. Obviously, they managed to get into Q3 on merit a couple of times last year with George. Whether Alex Albon and Nicholas Latifi can lift it to those heights, we don't know yet. Latifi was becoming a match for Russell by the end of the season, but who knows? It's a complete question mark. Ellie, do you have anything to add on Williams?
No, I think I want to see them do well, of course. I think everyone does. They were slowly improving, and they didn't finish last year, which was nice. I just don't think they've made a big enough improvement to go anywhere else, because it seems the whole grid's improved and everyone's closer. Finishing 10th now isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it doesn't mean you've made a terrible car. I don't think they'll be as bad a back marker as they used to be.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the point. They're not going to be a bad back marker. But anyway, looking just ahead of Williams onto Ninth position. Adam put Alfa Romeo. I'm going Alfa Romeo. Ellie, who are you going for in ninth?
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo. Nigel?
I've gone for Alfa Romeo as well.
Alfa Romeo in ninth.
It's just going well, isn't it?
We've got the back end of the grid sorted. Nigel, what makes you think Alfa Romeo are going to be ninth? Is it similar to Williams? You haven't seen enough, or is it definite?
I think I've shown glimpses. It's just if there's any team which is going to have problems early in the season, I think it's going to be Alfa, because the porpoising was damaging the floor, and then they had a gearbox problem on the final day. I'm just not sure if the car can hold up, and I think Bottas has admitted that as well. So if you can't get to the end of the race, you can't score points. So I think that's going to be the biggest problem, and whether they have to sacrifice performance to make sure that they can get to the checkered flag, that's another question as well. So I think that's why I put them ninth.
Eddie, what about you?
I think as well, it's just like, they're a bit like Williams. They've made an improvement and they've got a good engine in there, I think, but I don't see them improving enough. And I think they've got a solid driver in Bottas, who in the midfield did impress when he was at Williams. So I think he could do a very solid job, but I don't think they'll have made a good enough improvement to get anywhere higher.
Yeah, I think we're waiting to be proven wrong by Alfa Romeo, but we don't think we will be, because we're always right. Eighth place is where I think I'm going to ruffle a few feathers with this thing that I wrote this morning. But anyway, but we're not going to go to me first. We're going to go to Ellie first. Who's eighth in your Constructors' Championship predictions?
This is going to be like off the whim. Which one I pick here? Alpine. Oh, okay. Nigel.
I've gone the same as Adam with Haas.
Okay. I've gone AlphaTauri.
AlphaTauri in eighth.
In eighth.
It was I was between Alpine and AlphaTauri, to be fair.
Wow. Explain yourself, Freddie.
Okay, I'll explain first. I didn't think they were very good in Bahrain. I didn't think it was heavy fuel. I didn't think they were hiding it. I think they were. It's disappointing. I think if you look back to AlphaTauri in previous tests, so 21, 20, you can kind of look, if they're doing similar programs, they look good last year. If they're doing it in a similar vein this year, I don't think it's quite good enough. I mean, it's all on a whim, and it's in that kind of pack for me where it's a bit of a blob. Yeah. So really, this car could be fighting for fourth in my eyes, but it's in my eyes it's also eighth. It's that kind of thing.
To be slower than Haas, which is you've got higher, that's a bold claim.
You wait for the next claims. But yeah, that's my going for AlphaTauri. Ellie, did you agree? Is that why you were umming and ahhing, or is that similar for Alpine?
Yeah, Alpine didn't look good. The engine blew up. I think the reliability side might let them down. I think that's what could push. You know how we have McLaren, Honda. The reliability was the reason it was so low down. I feel like that could be the same for Alpine this year. We've got the drivers to get them anywhere, but I don't think L plan has gone right, and I don't think they've done the engine that well. I think they can definitely be there fighting for points, etc. Just don't think they've got enough in the bag with the reliability currently for me to put them anywhere else.
And Nigel, Haas, is this a legacy of Haas's recent positions in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's just they've got too much to make up, and I think I just don't. I think the other teams are just going to be faster. Now, ultimately, there's got to be teams at the back, and I think it's going to be the same three as last year.
Yeah, that's
that.
Completely valid reason. Moving on to seventh place, Adam's gone for Aston Martin. He said he didn't have the confidence in the driver lineup as he did in Alpine, AlphaTauri, and the like, which we can understand from his perspective. He doesn't like Sebastian Vettel. For seventh, I've gone Alpine for the similar reasons with AlphaTauri and similar to what Ellie said. Ellie, I take it you've gone for AlphaTauri for seventh.
Yeah, I've gone AlphaTauri.
Yeah, and
I've,
Nigel.
I've got Alpine as well, like you, Freddie. And I think if they are 7th or 8th fastest car, then Alonso will he want to stick around? I think that's a big question, and this could be his last season. If they're struggling to score points, then I don't see why Alonso would want to stay, because he ultimately came back for this season with the new regs. So I think that's a storyline to keep an eye on.
I feel like he's going to be the guy dragging it to 7th in the Constructors' Championship, really. I'm not being convinced at all. They've been mildly okay with what they've done, Alpine. They've not been upset, but I don't know what they're not upset about. It just seems not great at all.
Yeah.
And then, that's basically where we are with that. And Eddie, do you have anything on AlphaTauri?
No, I think it's the same thing. Just don't seem great. They kind of showed their hand, and that's it.
Yeah, we're just waiting to be proven wrong. And who knows? The midfield's going to be completely bonkers. So there's only every chance that Yuki Tsunoda is going to dive bomb everyone into the lead. But anyway.
Yeah, and some teams, I mean, fourth or third or fifth best team, it might be AlphaTauri one week, it might be Aston Martin the next, it could be Alpine, it could even be Haas or something. So it's just going to change week by week, and it's going to be about who can maximise their potential the most.
Okay, we're getting into the middle of the midfield now, because it's all so crazily close. For 6th place in the Constructors' Championship, I am going for Haas, because I think it's a very good car, and I have confidence in their driver lineup, and I just want it to be 6th. That's kind of all I can say on that. Nigel, who have you got in 6th?
I've gone Aston Martin. I think they're going to have a better car than last year, but similar to Adam, the driver lineup, Vettel and Stroll, the inconsistency of them both, I think that's going to let them down, especially when the midfield is so tight as well, and the drivers are going to make a difference. I think compared to Alpine, AlphaTauri, that is where Vettel and Stroll might be exposed a bit.
Okay, that's interesting. Eddie, who have you got in this position?
Haas.
Yes. Big up the Haas. Big up the Haas. Is it the same? You just think they've nailed the sacking off 2021?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was just like, okay, they look fast. I'm excited. I want them to do well as well. I do. And I hope this means they have a bit less money trouble. I want them to be 6th.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing to see how much. Oh, there we go. This is all gospel. We made to see how much just them having a good mindset as a team might help them, might just clear a few things out for them.
I think the idea of a guy not threatening to pull his funding any minute his son is bad because he's actually not got talent might help them a bit.
Yeah, that probably will. I mean, the funding then probably helped them now anyway, which is a nice irony. But anyway, moving on to 5th place in the Constructors' Championship. This is where we start to see arguably a better position. I didn't know what I was going to say there. As you can tell, I've gone Aston Martin because I think they had a good test and that they were trying to sandbag a bit, in my opinion. I think that car was being run on high fuel a lot. I mean, I don't think it's being run on high fuel where it's actually the fastest car, but I think it was being run on high fuel to make us all think it was 8th fastest. For some reason, I don't know why teams sandbag. Never works on me. Yeah. Not never works on me. Never sits right with me. You just want to test the car. But anyway, Ellie, who do you think is in 5th?
Aston Martin.
Yes. Ellie knows what's right.
So my answer is going to be wrong then. I've got AlphaTauri. They're not going to be 8th. They are going to be 5th. They've never finished 5th in the constructors as Toro Rosso or AlphaTauri, as they're called now. I think this year is going to be the year. I think in testing, the car looked good compared to the other midfield runners. It wasn't porpoising too much. I guess the one question mark is development. Will they get beat in that area? Because I think compared to other teams, they do get, especially in the second half of the season, they do get brought back a bit. But I think the first 7 or 8 races, I think they could be right up there. And I think Gasly's going to continue his incredible form, which he's had for the last 2 years now.
Great. Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to discount Gasly. I agree with that. I think he's just soaring, and there's no reason why he wouldn't.
Tsunoda's obviously going to surprise.
Yeah, Tsunoda's going to surprise with the least surprising surprise because it was called by you. I'm going to hazard a guess that we've all got the same top 4.
What, in the same order?
I think so.
I doubt it. No, we can't.
Okay.
I don't think we are.
Oh, okay,
I think we might all have the same 4th place. I think
yeah, we've got to say 4th, but not
okay.
the top.
Yeah. All right. Are we all going to say McLaren?
Yeah, McLaren.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just been a nailed-on 4th place since day one of Barcelona. And that car was very, very, very pleasant there. It doesn't seem to be suffering from porpoising. They seem to have a nice sort of handle on their aero. It's just they had the most unreliable test they've had since the Honda days in Bahrain, when their brakes just don't work after a while, which is a bad problem to have with a car. And Daniel Ricciardo's not been there. He's had COVID, and so we wish him the best, and hopefully he'll be ready for the race. Based on Bahraini rules, he should be allowed to go, but whether they will. But I think that's just more of just a rule. Whether he will be allowed into the paddock from F1 is a different perspective. But yes, McLaren haven't necessarily had the smoothest running, but they've got pace in that car. People in Barcelona were arguably putting it as a top 4 car, not a midfield car. Are you thinking that, Nigel?
Well, Barcelona, I think they were just as impressive as Ferrari, to be honest. It's just Bahrain. A lack of mileage, they did 200 laps when Mercedes did 385. So that's at least 185 laps where they had a chance to gather data, test the car, which is what testing is for, and they didn't do it. So I think that's going to cost them early on. And I think as well, Ricciardo, is he going to bounce back? I think he will, but I don't think he'll reach the heights that he has in the past. I mean, yeah, that's something I'm interested to ask you, Ellie. Do you think Ricciardo will be much better than last year, or is he going to continue it?
I'm hoping it's going to be better because I really like Daniel. I think the idea that the car that Daniel Ricciardo has doesn't have great brakes isn't great for Daniel, because he's, as we all know, like the king of late braking, and if the brakes don't work properly, what's he going to do? I think the fact that he's not been able to test isn't a brilliant scenario, because that's him getting to grips with the car itself. However, I do think he can bounce back. I think he will want to, because last season he was thoroughly beaten by Lando Norris, and I think there was a bit of right in Christian Horner in the sense that it can't be nice to be beaten by this younger kid who, I think I do want to see Daniel do well. So I'm hoping to just bounce back. Whether he beats Lando, I don't know, but I think he'll bounce back this season.
Yeah, I think everyone wants him to bounce back. He's one of the most popular sports people in the world, let alone drivers in F1. So hopefully he can put to bed the demons of 2021 very, very quickly in this season, because it is going to be a question mark that hangs over him for the rest of his career, unfortunately. But doesn't mean Lando's going to do badly either. They both proved themselves excellent drivers. So hopefully McLaren can make that worthwhile for them this year. You guys seem to think there's going to be lots of winners, so maybe they'll definitely be in those few too.
Win with his first race, I think.
I think they're both going to win a race this year.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go. Well, that will put them 4th in the Constructors' Championship. In 3rd in the Constructors, Nigel, we're going to go to you first. Who do you think is going to be 3rd?
I think 3rd is going to be Mercedes.
Mercedes, the reigning Constructors' Champions.
I know, it's going to be the worst year since... Did he finish 2nd or 3rd in 2013? Can't remember.
I thought they were 2nd.
So it'll be the worst season since 2012, I think.
Wow.
I think they'll still be near the top. They'll still win races. I'll just at the start of the season, they might lose out too much and they'll have too much to catch up compared to Ferrari and Red Bull. So they might develop their way back in. But I think last year, for me, there was, I guess, fragilities in the team. Even Hamilton made some mistakes. Baku, Imola, off the pace at Monaco. Had a bit of a scrappy weekend in Austria as well, and in Russia in qualifying he crashed it in the pit lane. So I think this could be the start of a decline for Hamilton, and I think Mercedes might fall in that trap as well. But yeah, I would like to see him win an 8th title though, but I don't see it happening. I mean, I don't think he's going to win another title in F1. So yeah.
Feels like you rehearsed all of that, Nigel. Like you wanted to get that straight out off your chest. Ellie, who's third for you? And do you agree?
Red Bull.
Red Bull. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is a shot out of nowhere.
I've had my top 3 nailed in for a long time, and I'm sticking with it. I just think Mercedes will somewhere. They'll put out the bag. The Mercedes, I've just got a bit of trust in them. I don't know why. I've got a lot of trust in that team. I just think they're just going to do something. Red Bull developed so far into last season. I just think they could have some things wrong with the car. So I think I think it's going to be I'm expecting a very close battle between all 3 of these top teams. I do not expect this to be like an easy fight. I want them all to be battling and changing places every week. So that's why I'm putting them third. I just think they developed so far into last year. They're going to struggle a bit towards the back end of next year.
And Red Bull as well, Perez, for them to win the Constructors, Perez has got to do a lot better as well. So that's
he has.
Negative,
I
guess.
The other 2 teams have got a solid 2 drivers that I think are going to perform every single week. And Perez, unfortunately, he was a bit off the boil, and people go, he was better than Bottas. I don't think he was better than Bottas last year. I think Bottas didn't win as much. He wasn't phenomenal, but I think Bottas did the job. And look, he did the job because he won the title. So,
yeah,
there we go.
Wow. I didn't expect Red Bull to be there, not going to lie. I'm going to say Mercedes.
Yeah, I thought when you...
Mercedes as well.
Yeah. I just feel like they're going to take a lot longer to get on top of everything. I feel, like I said at the top of the episode, I think I think they're the team who's underestimated the ground effect troubles the most. And I think that then has been helped by their development. I think we know they're good with their B-spec cars in the second test or at the race. And I think they're lucky they had this second test. I think they would have planned out as if there was no porpoising. Then there was porpoising, and they've already designed a second concept without that in mind. And that's made the porpoising much worse for them. In a way, like with Red Bull in 2020, they had decent pace in 2020 testing, but then developed the completely wrong concept of car because they had correlation issues for the whole of the pandemic, which meant that the whole of the first lockdown, at least, which meant that by the time they got to Austria in 2020, their car was all over the shop. And then they went to Hungary, and Red Bull was struggling to get to Q3 in Hungary, which shouldn't be on. So I think Mercedes are going to have to take a lot of time to kind of get on top of this car. I think that's going to eat into it for them. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a resurgence at the end and it'll be really close, but I think it's going to be difficult for them to get on top of it. That's just what I foresee. I don't know.
It's just you cannot rule out Mercedes. That's the thing. But
No.
I just think about there's eras in F1. You think about the Ferrari era or McLaren Honda in the 90s and 80s, and I just can't help but feel the Mercedes era is over. This is going to be the start of. Perhaps it might be Verstappen. It could be Leclerc, Verstappen, and someone else. So, yeah, one of them. But yeah, I think it's going to be really tight. There's going to be, 20, 30 points in it, perhaps. So, yeah, it's going to be really close.
Second place, then. People who are definitely going to win some races, we think, in second place, even if no one else does.
Well,
I mean, everyone's going to win races.
I don't know the last time a team finished second but didn't win races.
I do. 2004.
Yeah. All right.
BAR Honda, and because it's one of those stats. Anyway. But yeah, second place in the constructors. Can come to you, Ellie.
Mercedes.
Yeah, I think we could have
I
guessed that
just
one.
think they're not going to win the title. I think they're going to be in the battle, and I've said same with Red Bull, and the same with my almost now first team. But I just think at the end of the year, I think the Mercedes are going to have the edge over Red Bull. I think Red Bull have the edge at first. I just think they're going to have the edge at the end because I just have, as I said, I've got faith in Mercedes, like everyone always does, because somehow they always seem to manage to pull it out bag, and a solid driver pairing helps. So there we go.
I've gone for Red Bull just because of the Perez factor, which I mentioned earlier. I think for Red Bull to win the constructors, they would have to have almost dominant car, and that's not going to happen. I think they might have the best car at some tracks, but I mean, I don't think they're going to have the best car all season. So I think Verstappen, even if he is outstanding, I think Perez won't quite have enough for them to win. So I've got them in second.
I've gone for the exact same reason, Red Bull in second.
Yeah.
It's worrying level of agreement on a few things in this.
Yeah, not good.
It's not good when we agree with things, Nigel. Means they definitely don't happen. But yeah, I just don't think Perez is going to be able to be at that level that Verstappen is when he just drags a car up there. I mean, it's just the Verstappen factor just cancels out Perez for me.
So it means we've all gone with the same number one, which is obviously Haas. No, Ferrari. We've all gone
Ferrari. Yeah, exciting that we've all gone for Ferrari.
Why?
I've been so optimistic since winter break for these guys. Like, and now they're actually good in season testing. I'm buzzing.
Yeah.
Oh
I've
yeah.
got so much faith.
Ferrari just have oozed confidence. I think straight away when that car went on track, they were very happy, and straight away they were very happy to say, "No, we're not going to bring many upgrades to Bahrain," and then they still were fast. So their original concept is excellent, which is going to stand them in good stead in my books.
Yeah, I think I said something similar when they launched the car that I was going mad over Ferrari and knew Freddie and Adam as well. Kind of gave me a bit of stick for it, but I think they've been building towards this year. They've got everything in place: the team, the strategy, the drivers, Binotto as well. I think he's going to do a fantastic job with his technical mind this year with the new regs. That's surely going to be a big plus. So I just think everything's ready for Ferrari, and it's been 14 years since their last title, 15 years since their last driver's title, which was Raikkonen. So I think everything's in place, and it's just about whether Sainz and Leclerc, who haven't fought for the title with F1, can they deliver under the pressure week in, week out? And I think they can. I think they're both excellent drivers, and I think they're going to have the car as well. It looks easy to handle. They could get up to speed quickly in testing, and that's going to be key at most tracks this year. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't think I could have put it better than that, to be honest. I think I'd really back Sainz and Leclerc. I think people talk about how surprised they were with Carlos Sainz beating Leclerc in 2021. No, Sainz has always been excellent. When he was out qualifying Verstappen at Toro Rosso, he was pretty excellent, I would say. I'm just really pumped for Ferrari to do well anyway. I think I'm the same with you, Ellie. I really want them to do well. And then I see them doing. I hear Nigel getting really excited about the car in pre-season. Like I don't want to believe this because I just don't trust Ferrari in a championship fight. But this car looks good, and I trust Leclerc and Sainz as drivers. So
yeah,
that's where I stand with it. It is exciting.
I think if Ferrari are good, this could be a great season. And as I think everyone, you are
exactly, and
you just are.
But that's why for F1, when Ferrari do well, it's great for the sport just because it's the biggest brand. They've got the biggest fan base, and they probably always will. So for F1, it'll be massively positive. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just it feels right to be going into a season thinking Ferrari are the best. So that will be. I mean, I guess that's because we were all born into Michael Schumacher dominance. But anyway, it is Ferrari. I think we can just go on forever about Ferrari, which we don't need to.
Does it mean they're going to win the Drivers' Championship though?
Well, exactly. You've done the segue for me because
let's find out.
we're going to go into our top 5 drivers in the championship. You can probably guess which 5 drivers, but which order, we don't know. We're going to go over to our New Orleans correspondent, Adam Dickinson, once again, to hear his opinions before we grace you with ours. And safe to say, in this little recording, I think Adam struggles to come to a conclusion.
And now onto my Drivers' Championship top 5 prediction. This is extremely, extremely tough. It feels like there's so many directions this can go in within the season. I'm not sure which drivers will be great and which drivers won't, but I'm going to go with Verstappen first. I think Red Bull's look mighty strong. I think Harry Perez as a teammate who's not going to challenge him is a huge asset compared to especially Mercedes. And after last season, he looked imperious when he was on top of his game, and I don't think he'll be off the top of his game anytime soon. Lewis Hamilton second. Yeah, it feels like not a make or break here, but it could be maybe a backward step for Mercedes. I don't know. I think Hamilton will still be extremely competitive, and that's where I'm putting him second. Then third place. This is where it gets really tough. I honestly don't know, but I'm going to say Charles Leclerc. And Ferrari will be back. I think that'll be good. I still think he's got a bit of a gap over Carlos Sainz. Maybe had a few elements of bad luck last season, which cost him against his teammate. But I'm going to commit to it. Then in fourth, George Russell. I don't really know how Mercedes can have second and fourth and not win the Constructors' Championship, but I'll figure that out later. Because I think George Russell will drop into the Mercedes and be absolutely rapid. I think he'll be a challenge at Hamilton or a challenge within his team that he's had for years. So Russell fourth and Perez fifth, because for Red Bull to win the Constructors' Championship, then they've got to have 2 drivers in the top 5. It could be anyone fifth. I can see it being someone like Norris, even Alonso. It could be Carlos Sainz, or it could be one of the drivers that I've mentioned already that had a bit of a down year. So, it's a very tough prediction to make, but that's what I'm going for. I'm interested to hear what you say. Goodbye.
So, I don't think he's thought that through.
I don't.
To win the Constructors. Sorry, Adam, but you're going to have to explain that to us off the podcast, because obviously you're not on it. So. Yeah.
when he's right at the end of the season, it's going to be all the more confusing.
Yeah.
So Adam's clearly got no faith in anyone and lots of faith in everyone. And I think that was the issue I was feeling when I was trying to come up with my list. I had faith in everyone and no faith in everyone at the same time. But I think we've all at least kind of written something down. So I think we'll do it in a similar account up perspective. So we'll start with who we think is fifth, who's going to be fifth in the Drivers' Championship, who's going to be the sort of Jensen Button figure. And I've gone for George Russell based on what I think of where Mercedes are. I just think Russell's going to have a good season. I think he's going to beat Checo Perez. But I just think, Mercedes isn't quite going to be super top level by the end of the season. That means he's going to have a higher position. Nigel?
Yeah, I've gone with Russell as well. Similar reasons. I think it could be like 2018 when there was like 3 points between third, fourth, and fifth. I think it was Raikkonen and Verstappen and Ricardo, I want to say. Was it Ricardo? Can't remember. But I think it could be like that.
Yeah. Ellie?
George Russell, as much as it pains me to say, he's not going to be higher. Same sort of reasons, I think. Mercedes, I think he'll beat Checo. And by that account, because you can gather who else in that does mean Mercedes would come second because both their drivers are in the top 5.
Yeah, I think we've all put
logic,
Sergio.
More logic than Adam's applied.
None of us have put Sergio Perez in the top 6 then, by the looks on that. Even though he did manage to get 4th last year, but I think we all favour Ferrari. Moving on to 4th, this is just so tricky, but Ellie, who do you think is going to be 4th in the Drivers' Championship?
Again, I'm expecting a big fat battle. Max Verstappen.
Oh, you did put Red Bull 3rd, to be fair.
Exactly. So this is why I'm so.
No. It makes sense with what you said for the constructors to do that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also just think Ferrari for me have got a really sick car, and I think there's another person that'll be in the mix there. I think it's going to be extremely competitive between this top 5. This is why I said there'll be like 9-10 winners, because this top 5 will all at least win one race, if not more. So I'm going Max Verstappen. There's no real logical reason to it other than just a guessing game.
Nigel?
I've gone for 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton in 4th. Well, I have to do it because I put Mercedes in 3rd in the constructors. I've got to point 4th. I mean, I could point 3rd, but I just, like I said, I think it's going to be the start of his, not downfall. I think that's too harsh of a word to use, but I don't think it'll be quite as good. I don't think he'll be at his best. I think his best has gone. So, yeah, that's why I put him 4th. I think there'll be some mistakes. He'll have some off weekends. I think if you add that up, I don't think he's going to be in title contention for the first time since 2013.
Wow. Don't think he'll be in title contention at all. I wonder if I think the same, because I've also put Lewis Hamilton in 4th.
I'm shocked.
It's just I don't.
Someone's got to be 4th, don't they? So
I don't want to count him out from the championship fight by being in 4th, but I just think it's just got to be a reason why Ferrari and Red Bull are higher in the Constructors' Championship. I just think Mercedes are going to struggle a bit more than Ferrari and Red Bull, and by that logic, Hamilton and Russell will as well. I think they'll still be close, but yeah, 5th and 4th for the Mercedes drivers. Ellie, you seem to hate us, I think.
I just think, just based on also logic, Lewis Hamilton comes back after losing the world title and batters the field. I know he's not got the car to do that right now, but based on that logic, he's going to be in this fight. I just think it's Lewis Hamilton. Just don't think you can count him out. I just don't think you can.
I think Ellie has definitely got Hamilton as champion. I can see it already.
I haven't. I can tell you. I haven't.
Okay.
I will tell you that.
Ellie, do you want to go with 3rd then?
Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, right.
that was set up to perfection.
He's going to be in the title battle with Max Verstappen and 2 other drivers and George, but he's not. I don't know if he's going to win it. Do I want to see him win an 8th world title? 110%. It's my dream that at Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton's going to be 1st, George Russell going to be 2nd, Lando Norris is going to be 3rd. Yeah. Is that going to happen? Probably not. I don't think you can count him out. As I've said, I would, if Mercedes had right now a stronger car, I'd be putting him as world champion, no doubt in my mind. I just don't think I can say that yet, because I don't know if they'll bring a better car you can qualify in, but I don't think you can count him out because he lost the world title. And in my opinion, I think Terry said it best, everyone's got a target on their back right now, because that man can be scary when he wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, if as we mentioned before, if the lack of side pods or no side pods, whatever, if that doesn't work and they do have to revert to the Barcelona spec, that is going to seriously hurt their season. But that's a 50-50 right now. They might stick with what they've got, they might go back. But if they do have to go back, then I can't see how they win any title this year.
That is basically, yeah, that's why we've got him down in 4th. But for our third place, Nigel, is it going to be the same again? I've gone Carlos Sainz.
I've got Carlos Sainz as well.
Oh my goodness.
We can't have the same top five, Freddie.
That's just insane. I think it's just because we both think Leclerc's going to be higher, and we just both think he's got that extra flair you get from a superb driver. Is that why?
Yeah. I think Leclerc's season last year went under the radar. Yes, he didn't beat Sainz in the championship, but there were some races where he was seriously unlucky. Like Russia, he went for the win with a weird strategy by going long, but then he ended up finishing third or fourth in that race. And then in Hungary, he got taken out when he could have easily been in the contention for the win there because of Bottas and Stroll going bowling. And then he had some fantastic drives such as Silverstone as well when he finished second. He was just as good as Hamilton that day for me. So I think Leclerc, he'll be a bit more consistent, and he's got that X factor with his natural speed, and I think that can come to play this year.
I think, I was exactly the same as you with that. I've put Carlos third, not because he's not great, but because Leclerc is very great.
Leclerc's just outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, just you can name more drives from last year, like Turkey, for instance, where he was held firm with Verstappen and Bottas. I think for the Russia drive, he started at the back and came through the field better than Verstappen did until Verstappen did a more gambled pit stop in the rain. So I think, that's why I've put Carlos in third, just because Leclerc has to be higher. Now in second, Nigel.
Yeah.
Did you back yourself
up? I've got Leclerc. So
okay.
Yeah, just because of what I've just said, I think he'll beat Sainz in the championship, but I don't think he's going to beat one driver who is yet to be mentioned. So yeah. Well, yet to be mentioned by me anyway. It's been mentioned by someone else.
Ellie. Second.
Carlos Sainz.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Carlos Sainz is second because of the reasons we just said about Charles Leclerc.
And I think Ferrari are going to be good. I think Carlos Sainz has got the package in the car. I think he's going to be good. And I think we've seen pairs of brilliance. And I think there's a chance he could beat Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. I think it'll be really interesting if he can do that. And if he does that, I think people start to rate him a bit more than they actually do and give him credit for.
I hope so. He's an under the radar driver because he's so. I mean, he's smooth operator, isn't he? And he's smooth operator because it's not just a song. He actually is just. He smoothly gets on with it, and he's calm and collected and cool under pressure, and very, very good. But yes, I have him in third because I have Leclerc in second as well as Nigel.
We've gone with the same top five. We should have rehearsed it. We should have changed it.
But that means we can move on to our world champions. We've got for different ones, which is very fun. Nigel and I have both gone for Max Verstappen, and Ellie, you've gone for Charles Leclerc.
I've not gone for Max. I've gone for Magnussen. No.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Verstappen. I think for me, he's got no more weaknesses now. And he hasn't had a bad weekend in the last 2 years, apart from perhaps Turkey 2020 when he was spinning in the race and stuff. So his consistency, his speed, he's very aggressive as well, which people don't like. But if the FIA aren't going to penalise that harshly, then he's right to carry on doing it. Because if he's only going to get 5-second penalties and isn't going to lose any positions, then why stop? So I don't think that's his fault. I think that's the rules. That's a problem with the rules. So for him, he's only going to get better as well. And I think last year it marked the start of a new era for me. And I think he's just a number one driver. So that's why I've got him first.
I can't put it better. Can't put it better at all.
That means Ellie has got Leclerc.
Yes, Ellie, go on.
Yeah, I think I've got him because, again, the Ferrari car just looks so good. Charles Leclerc is talented. He's a brilliant driver on his day. We all know that. We've all seen it he did not just jump into a Ferrari in, what was it, 2019 and beat a 4-time world champion out of luck. Like, he didn't. We all know that. It was good. He's got a proven junior record. I think, in my opinion, he will beat Max Verstappen. I think if those two get to come together on track, we're in for a good season, because we all saw it when they were doing it. What year was that? That was 2019, I'm pretty sure. And Hamilton was off doing, he was just running away with it. But those two were battling, and that was a lot of fun to watch. I think if he gets it right, I think he's going to be world champion. He will be a world champion at some point. And I think this year is the chance. And he's also a very likeable guy. So I also do want him to be world champion. So, yeah.
Well, there we go. That's basically it for our 2022 season preview. We've gone different. We've all gone all over the top. I think we probably could have ended the podcast after Ellie's opening thought, which was confusion. But that's just what makes it exciting. So yeah, just I don't know. If we could just, how excited are you for Sunday, for lights out in Bahrain? Ellie, what are you just really excited?
I'm scared.
Scared?
I can't explain it. Like, I'm just scared.
It's because you've now made predictions.
Well, I never make predictions. This is new. I don't do this. I avoid it. So this is new. And then you can see why I avoid it, because I come up with stupid stuff like this.
Well, who knows? Maybe you can share it in December.
Maybe in December I will be right, and no one will laugh at me and I'm like, I told you so. Could be right. Could also be very wrong, which is the likely case of when I predict things. I'm going to be very wrong. But you know what? I'm scared. I think someone's going to crash. I think that's why I'm scared. I'm just convinced there's going to be like a big crash.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
That's what I think.
I don't think we can end it there.
No, we can't. Nigel, bring it back up.
I think I'm so excited. It's going to come down to strategy, which drivers can deliver in Q3 when the pressure's really on. Strategy, I've said strategy already. Mistakes as well. It's just so exciting. And if we could have 3 teams at the top fighting, then it could be just as good as last year. And last year was incredible. So I can't wait for it to get underway.
Yeah, I can't put it better. We've got cars designed for racing. We've got tyres that the teams don't know anything about in a race condition, because all the race sims were done in the daytime. This is going to be a night race. And we've got cars that can't be tamed at the moment by the team. So it's going to be brilliant. We've not got long now.
I think we're in for another 2010. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2010.
The lady doesn't make predictions has just made the boldest one of all, that in 2010 when 4 people went into the final race capable of winning the championship. Let's see.
Then my
Let's
prediction
hope.
makes sense.
Yeah,
my
let's
prediction
pray.
then makes sense.
Oh wow, this is going to be amazing if that's the case. Ellie, thank you for coming on. We'll try and get you back again soon. Much shorter gap for the next one. And in the meantime, we'll see you after the first race of the 2022 F1 season. Thanks very much, guys. Goodbye.